A bone-piercing wind howled through the narrow streets, hurling drifts of snow so thick they swallowed the small northern town in a sea of white. Darkness reigned, broken only by the feeble glow of lamps behind tightly shut windows. No one dared venture outside on a night like this, but Rex had no choice. The retired 9 staggered through chest-high drifts, muscles burning, paws cracked and bleeding, guided solely by instinct and a mission he couldn't abandon. The storm had struck without warning, ripping down fences on the old farm and sweeping him miles from home under a crushing blanket of ice and wind. Each breath emerged in ghostly wisps, snow clinging to his coat until he resembled a moving shadow. He paused at the first house, lifted a trembling paw and scratched softly. Silence answered. His ears flattened against his skull as the wind shrieked past. He moved on. Was there nowhere left to turn? Door after door slammed shut against him. Through frosted panes he saw silhouettes shifting behind curtains, families safe and warm, oblivious to his plight. Beneath the howling blizzard, Rex's heart pounded with fading hope. Still, he refused to stop. Desperate for warmth, for shelter, for a sign of kindness, he inched forward on battered legs, leaving smudges of red in the snow. With each failed attempt, his scratches grew weaker, his bark softer. Stopping meant certain surrender, and surrender was not in a soldier's nature. Could one more door open before the cold claimed him? A warm glow spurted from a window as Rex, with his last ounce of strength, raised his paw to scratch again. Inside, a 10-year-old girl named Emma pressed her small palms to the glass. Her breath fogged the pain as she gazed at the dripping, trembling dog. He stood motionless, frost layering in his fur, eyes filled with pleading desperation. Emma's voice cracked. There's a dog out here. He's freezing. Please, we have to help him. Racing into the kitchen, she grabbed her father's arm. David, a man hardened by years of life-saving calls, hesitated. Astray, he said, "We can't." But Emma's tears fell freely. "He's begging us, begging me." Could her plea pierce his resolve? Inside, the door creaked open, and the storm roared in like an unwelcome spirit. Yet Emma felt only warmth. Warmth she extended without hesitation. She knelt in the swirling ruin, voice soft as first light. "Come here, sweet boy." Rex froze, disbelief rooting him in place, until gentle fingers brushed through his matted fur. He leaned into her touch, head heavy against her palm, as though the single act of kindness thawed every layer of cold and fear. Emma wrapped her arms around him, humming a lullaby no storm could drown out. David dropped a towel over Rex's shivering frame, and for the first time in days the dog exhaled not in gasps of terror, but in relief, his tail stirring in the snow-dusted foyer. Had one small act of mercy changed everything? By morning, a pale sun spilled through frost-frozen panes. Rex lay asleep on a rug beside Emma's bed, breath slow, paws wrapped in dry blankets. Emma's hands stayed on his back, unwilling to let go. As she stroked the heavy collar around his neck, her fingers brushed something cold and hard. Closer inspection revealed a worn metal tag etched with a 9 Rex VTPD retired. Emma's eyes widened. David, drawn by her hushed excitement, recognized the number and pulled out his old laptop. With trembling fingers, he typed the ID into the National 9 registry. Within seconds, on his screen glowed the story of a police dog, retired 3 years, transferred to a family farm, lost in the last winter storm. Could they truly have found a hero left for dead? Less than an hour after David posted Rex's photo on the community page, a reply flashed. The Robinsons. They thought him gone forever. As Emma and David hailed the returning owners, Rex's tail wagged weakly, gratitude in every glance. Mark and Sarah Robinson knelt before him, rough hands brushing over his head. "A buddy, we missed you," Mark murmured, and Rex licked his palm. But the reunion was cut short. Rex's ears pricked, his gaze fixed on the world outside. He stumbled forward, barking urgently, then dug his paws into the wooden floor. David and the Robinsons exchanged puzzled looks. Where was Rex heading this time? Rex staggered toward the door, glancing back as if to pull them along. Driven by a purpose they could scarcely fathom, the group followed through the thinning storm. The air still sliced like glass, yet Rex led on, legs trembling under exhaustion, every bark demanding haste. At last, he stopped before a weather-beaten barn, its roof bowed under snow's relentless weight. "A hawthorn to me." Rex clawed frantically at the frozen door, body vibrating with urgency. David and Mark joined forces, prying the ice locked wood free until it swung open with a groan. Inside, dim light revealed a mother dog curled around her litter of 5 pups, each whimpering beneath a crust of frost. One pup was eerily still. The mother's breathing was ragged. Could even Rex's courage save them now? Without hesitation, Rex bolted to the mother's side, collapsing beside her with a broken bark that sounded like a prayer. His nose pressed into her fur, inhaling scents he feared lost forever. Around them, David carefully gathered each pup, tucking them into his coat to share his body heat. Emma wheeled in a thick blanket, laying it before the crackling fire in their home. One by one, the pups curled into warm snugness, their small bodies easing into steady breath. Rex sat guard, his heavy chest rising in slow relief. The mother dog, eyes fluttering open, rested her head against Rex's side. In that broken barn had they truly found the heart of a family? Back in the living room, Emma and David tended the rescued family. Emma's gentle hands combed frost from the mother's matted fur, whispered reassurances drifting like lullabies. Mark wrapped the injured leg, his voice soft with respect for Rex's unyielding drive. Sarah held the smallest pup, tears tracing silent rivers down her cheek. When Mark turned to Emma, gratitude shining in his eyes, he lifted a tiny white puppy. "Would you like to keep her?" he asked. Emma gasped, cradling the snowy furball. "She'll be called Snowy," she whispered. Rex approached, gave Snowy a gentle lick, and for the first time that winter, his tail wagged with unburdened joy. Could kindness rekindle hope for all of them? News of Rex's daring journey and the doors that finally opened spread like wildfire through the town. Around kitchen tables, neighbors recounted the old soldier who braved the storm scratching at locked doors until one little girl chose compassion over fear. From that day on, every knock on wood became a reminder. Sometimes hope arrives cold and trembling at your doorstep, and it takes only courage and an open heart to save a life. Would the town ever shut its doors so firmly again? In the weeks that followed, Emma and Snowy became inseparable. Each morning, as pale sunlight filtered through the curtains, Emma would gently wake Rex first, stroking his muzzle before lifting the blanket to rouse the tiny white pup curled by his side. Snowy, still so small she fit in a single cupped hand, would yawn and stretch before tumbling into Emma's awaiting arms. Together, the trio would make their slow pilgrimage down to the front door, no longer with trepidation, but with excitement, where neighbors now paused to wave and offer warm greetings. Children pressed their faces against frosted glass, not to shoo away an unwanted visitor, but to watch Rex's tongue loll in a friendly grin and Snowy's wiggling tail. And every knock that followed was met with open arms and smiling faces, as though the entire town had learned to welcome hope in all its forms. Life settled into a new rhythm. David repaired the barn's sagging roof, turning it into a cozy kennel where Rex and the rescued mother dog could nap on straw bales warmed by old hay. Mark and Sarah built a low ramp so Rex's aging joints wouldn't ache as he climbed, and they brought fresh straw daily for the puppies to romp in. Emma spent afternoons at the barn, her whispered songs coaxing the pups into gentle play. At dusk, when the lantern light flickered over the wooden beams, Rex would stand at the threshold, nose lifted to the wind, as if remembering that first night of the storm. Then he'd turn, padded feet carrying him back to the hearth, where Snowy and Emma waited with expectant smiles and soft blankets. In that small town, doors remained unlocked on winter nights and lamps burned late into the cold hours, an unspoken promise that any soul in need would find shelter. And though the wind still howled through the streets, no one ever felt truly alone again. After all, they had learned that sometimes the bravest hearts arrive at your doorstep in the darkest moments, and all it takes to bring them in is the courage to open your own.